Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what's our first, remember, Hebrew, first thing we got to remember is we read where? Right to left, okay? We got to remember we read from right to left. So what's our first word that we have here? All right, now here's the thing I didn't realize until after I had already sent it, that when I took the vowel points out of the name, there should be a shva there, okay? So we've got a vocal shva because it's at the beginning of a word. So we have the letter lamed, which we know makes an L sound. And then it's got the vocal shva, which makes the quick E, right? So le. Then we have yud hey wah hey, the father's name, right? Le Yahweh. All right, so what's our next word? Okay, so we've got the letter hey, right? So it makes an H sound, and it's pointed patak, short duration, A-type vowel. Ha. Then we've got this yud here. What kind of shva is that underneath the yud? It's a silent shva. So what does silent shva do? Closes the syllable. Brother, if you want, remind me before we leave. We have years ago, I put together a packet on how to read these and what the letters and the numbers are. Remind me and I will print you one out, okay? So that you got it. It'll really help you. So since we've got a silent shva, we're going to close that syllable. So now what happens is we have to combine both these letters and these vowel points, right? So we have hi. Hi. How you doing? How you doing? Hi. All right, so hi. Then we have the letter shin, right? We've got an indicator over the right-hand side. So this letter, it'll carry a dot on the top of it, either on the left or on the right. So if it has one on the left, we pronounce it like an S. If it has one on the right, we pronounce it like an SH. So we have the letter shin. Then we have the letter wa pointed shuruk, right? So what sound do we have there? Ooh, right? Ooh, remember the guy? He ate the expired pork chop, and he's, ooh, my stomach is tearing me up. All right. So, ooh, shu. So we have hai shu. Then we have the letter ayin. Now, what kind of letter is ayin? It's a silent letter, right? So it's pointed how? Kamatz hey. Long duration A-type vowel. A-H. Right? Ah. So this is just going to make the sound ah. There is no consonant sound there. Okay? So we have hai shua. Hai shua. All right? Hai shua. Hai shua. All right, now we've got a hyphenated word here, right? Look, this is awesome. I had no idea that Brother Matthew was going to be with us today, and I put a really super easy sentence for our first one. I had no clue. See, he did it again, sis. He did it again. All right, so what's our first word here? Al, right? We have, again, we've got the ayin, silent letter, but it's pointed how? Patak with meteg next to it. So where are we going to stress this word? We're going to stress it at the front, right? Instead of at the end. And then we have the L sound. Al. So this is al. Al. La yawa haishua al. All right, and then what about this next word here? All right, very good. So we have again, ayin, silent letter, pointed patach, ah. Okay, so these two together are going to make one sound, ah. Then we have this letter mem. Mem makes an M sound, right? But it's got a dot inside of it. So when we've got a letter that has a dot inside of it, what are we doing with it? We're going to double it. Okay, so instead of one M sound, we're going to have two. No, this is M. The consonant sound. We're going to double the consonant sound. So here's a trick. We know that we've got a double M sound here, right? So we have, this is how I usually do it. I'll take and I'll draw a dotted line, and I'll put an M on one side. And now this is whatever consonant sound it makes. I put one on either side of it. So this syllable will end with this one. Then we'll pick up the second one and this vowel point. So here's the thing. Patach is a short duration vowel point. But we have a vocal shva here. So how can this be vocal if it's following a short duration vowel point? What?
Is it because it was broken up by the how it's a new syllable?
It's because it's under a letter that is carrying dagesh. Dagesh doubles a letter, right? So it's like we're opening a brand new syllable. So opening a new syllable, we're going to make quick E sound with shva. So that's where we get meh. And then we have chaf sofit with kamatz. So chaf sofit, ch, and then kamatz, cha. It almost always goes consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. Okay? So we have meh, cha. Do you speak Spanish? Okay. Hebraic pronunciation of vowels is exactly the same as it is in Spanish. A, E, O, U. It's exactly the same. So an A never says A, it says A. And when I say long or short, I mean how long are you holding it, the sound. So if I'm saying A or A, that's what I'm talking about, long or short. Okay? So amecha. Amecha. All right? So what's about our last word here? All right. So we have the letter vate, right? It's vate because there's no dot. There's also letters that change their sound if they have a dot inside. This is one of them. So right here, it's going to sound like a V. But if it had a dot inside like that guy, it would sound like a B. Okay? But we have a V sound pointed kirik, right? Short duration I type vowel, V. Then we have the letter resh. So we know it's an R sound. But it's pointed with what kind of shva? Silent, because we're following a short duration vowel point. Bir. Cut the syllable. Bir. Then we have the letter chaf, pointed kamatz. Cha. Then we have tav, pointed segol, short duration E-type vowel. Te. So bir, chate. Then we have chaf sofi, pointed kamatz. Cha. Bir chatecha. Bir chatecha. Those two are the same letter, yes. These two are the same letter. It's just that this one is at the end of the word. Kirik is short, yes, yes. Listen, ma'am. Kametz is long. Patach is short. Kirik is short. Kirik yod is long. Okay, so you again, the name of the vowel point always tells you whether it's long or short. Okay? Okay, so let me see. Bir cha techa. Okay, bir chatecha. So we have transliterated our sentence. Right? We've transliterated our sentence. We've taken it from Hebrew and we've put it into letters that we know and that we can pronounce, right? So let's read it together. We have Le Yawa Haishua Al Amecha birchatecha. Again. Leyawa haishua alamecha birchatecha. All right, so leyawa. To Yahweh, right? Remember, the lamed uses a prefix, means to, or in the direction of. Okay? And then Yahweh we know is what? That's the Father's name, right? So, to Yahweh. All right, to Yahweh. What about Haishua? What'd you say, Sister Cece? The salvation. Okay. The ha can be used in a prefix sense as the definite article the. Okay? So, and then we know Yeshua, salvation, right? So, the salvation. Well, you say hi because the first letter of the word is yud. But it's the ha that's being used as the. So when you put those two together, the diphthong forms and you end up with hi. It's not hi, it's hi. The ha means the. Right, you've got to learn to differentiate between prefixes and the rest of the word. Okay? And remember, it's just like I've told you before. Hebrew is very economical with word sounds, letter sounds. Okay? For example, if we have a hyphenated word, what do? We run it together. Right? We don't say this space this. We say, like right here, we have al amecha, but we're going to pronounce this as alamecha. We're not going to put a space in there, okay? Because one word, this hyphen or the makef, this hyphen is telling us that this word is modifying this word. That's what it tells us, okay? So we run them together. It's just like the word, now we, in the West, we pronounce it, and we think we're doing awesome. We pronounce it Yehuda. But that's not how you pronounce it. If you go to Israel and say it that way, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. They pronounce it Yuda. Okay, Yuda. Yo.
Was it always that way, or is it like a recent iteration?
Always been that way. It's because of declension. That's conjugation of a word in certain forms. Okay, so when they say, they don't say Yehuda, they say Yuda, which is where we get Judah from. Does this make sense? Okay, it's just like they don't say, if we were talking about Isaiah, we would say, when we see it with our English eyes or our Western eyes, we see the Hebrew name Isaiah and we say Yeshayahu, but that's not correct. It's Yeshao, Yeshayahu, Yeshayahu. They're very economical when it comes to making sounds. So they kind of cut one every day. It doesn't change how it's spelled, and it doesn't change the meaning of the word. It's just the pronunciation. We're pronouncing every, yes. That's what we're doing because that's the way that our language works. But when you're talking about Hebrew, for example, they don't do it that way. That's how they know who is a native speaker and who isn't. No, seriously. Yeah, sis. What's that? Well, Yeshayahu is spelled when there's no real transliteration there. So we spell it, are you talking about Isaiah, the I at the beginning? Is that what you're asking about? Oh, where it says Isaias. That's Greek. Yes. That's the reason why, because if you look in the Tanakh, it's going to say, if you look in the Tanakh, it's going to say Yeshayahu, right? But if you look in the Brit, the New Testament, it's going to say Isaias. And that's because of the translation from one language to another. That's what. Okay, so remember, in English, we also have to do something else with words, don't we? When we translate, we have to have things that join words together, right? They're called cupolas, or what they're called, okay? We have to join words together. So right here, to Yahweh, the salvation, doesn't really make sense. Doesn't really make sense. So we, in order for us to understand it, we need to put a linking word in there. So what word would we put in here? Is. Okay, we need to link this. So now it makes sense. To Yahweh is the salvation. Okay? Comma. What about al? What does al mean? No, it does not mean all. Al. Not spelled this way, no. Okay, so spelled this way, it means on. It means on. Okay? On what? That's what this hyphen is telling us. On amecha is something. So, amecha. So we're looking, what do we always look for when we look at a word? Prefixes and suffixes, right? Is ayin ever a prefix? Never. Is chaf sofit ever a suffix? All the time. Yours. So your what? The word people. Okay? So on who? On your people. On your people. What about birchatecha? Not in them. It could be, but in this case, it's not. Remember, bait is not always a prefix. Okay? Your, the cha at the end, your. All right? On your people. Barach, blessing. Right? So, birkatecha. So, how do we, if we had more than one blessing, what is it? Blessings, but how do we know? How would we pronounce that in Hebrew? Brachot. That's where this tav is coming from. So it's showing us plurality here. Okay, so blessings of you. Your blessings. No. Well, it's always this letter, but it's not always the sound. Remember, that's why I tell y'all we've got to be familiar with not only the sounds, but the letters, the words themselves. It's the same letter, same word, same meaning. It's because of language evolving over time. There's also a lot of other things where it talks about conjugation of things, where you have, where if it's dialectics, like we say, on the West Coast, they say oil. Here we say oil. You know what I mean? It's the same word. battery or battery, stuff like that. Okay, so birchatecha, your, and we're going to say blessings because of that tav right there. Okay, so on your people, we're going to have to put something here. We don't really have to, because we can, when we translate now, right, when we put the sentence together, when we put it back together, we're going to see, we're say here, to Yahweh is the salvation, on your people be your blessings, or you can say your blessings are on your people. The same thing. It really doesn't, it's a grammatical difference. But remember, so this is Psalm 3 and 8. Okay? And the way the King James translates it is salvation belongs to Yahweh. Okay? Your blessing is upon your people. Psalm 3 and 8. Mm-hmm. All right, Psalm 3 and 8. So, anyway, what we see here is pretty much what we see in the scriptures, or in the translation, right? And sometimes they come out, man, they come out weird sometimes. It's like, whoa, where did they come with this? Where'd they get this from? You can tell that this is a doctrinal thing. But this one here, like I said, it's very, very straightforward. Yeah. Those are vowel sounds. Those are what we call nikud, and they're vowel sounds. How to pronounce that syllable. That syllable. Right. A syllable is made up of a consonant and a vowel sound together. That is one syllable. Yeah. So, like here. B. Then we have this resh, but it's pointed. This is an R sound, but it's pointed with a silent, or with a silent shva. So that closes a syllable. It depends on how they're being used. It's easy, man. It really is. It's not as tough as people think it is. Okay? So, but these pronounced together are going to give you a closed syllable, because it's going to end in a consonant sound. Bir. That's one syllable. Bir. Cha. Consonant, vowel. Te. Consonant, vowel. Cha. Consonant, vowel. Yeah, they're all syllables. You can always tell how many syllables are in a word. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count your nikud, count your vowel points, and you'll know how many syllables you have. Seriously, that's how you do it. It's the easiest way to do it. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Amecha. See? 3. That's how it works. All right, let's move on to our next sentence. Now, this one's a little bit longer. It's always Alicia's fault when we get a long sentence. All right, so let's take a look. What's our first word here? All right, so we have the letter Yud, so a Y sound, and we have Kidik, right? Short duration I type vowel, or E, like Yi. That's how this is pronounced, Yi. Okay, so Yi. Then we have this Sin, right? The indicator's on the left-hand side. So we know it's going to sound like an S. But look what else we have. We have a Dagesh inside. So what are we going to do? Going to double it. So this goes from being Yi to Yis. Yis. Then we pick up the second S and add the Kamatz with the Aleph. Silent letter. Sa. Sa. Yis. Sa. Yisa. Okay. Y-I-S-S-A. Yisa. No, well, like I said, it's like two S's together. Yisa. Yisa. Well, like when we say like the word bottle, there's two T's in the middle, but we don't say bottle. And when we say middle, we don't say middle. You know what I'm saying? So Yisa. Yisa. Mm-hmm. So Yisa. What's the next word here? All right. We have avate, pointed vocal shiva, because we're at the beginning of a word. So ve. Resh, pointed kamatz. Ra. Chaf, pointed kamatz. Hey. Cha. So we have veracha. Veracha. Ve. Ra. Cha. Veracha. All right, what about this next word here? We have the letter mem, pointed sere, long duration E-type vowel, right? E-H, eh. Meh. Like, hey, you know, like you said, I'm not impressed. What do you think about that? Meh. Meh. You know what I mean? It's meh. Then we have this aleph, silent letter, but again, it's pointed sere with a tav behind it. Et. Me'et. 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 What about this one right here? Yud Hey Wah Hey Yahweh. That's the Father's name, right? All right, what about this next word? We have a Wah, pointed shuruk, U, right? U. Then we have the letter Tzadi. Tzadi is pronounced like TZ or TS. Okay? And then it's pointed with silent shva, right? So we're going to close the syllable. So this is uts. Uts, just like the guys who make the cheese puffs in the big barrel, right? My favorite cheese balls. Uts, uts. That's right. They're at the club. They're doing some dancing. Uts, 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 uts. All right, so uts. Then we have the letter dalet, and it's got kamatz, da. Then we have the letter kuf, and it's kamatz, hey, ka, ka. So we have uts, daka, uts, daka. All right, uts, da, ka, uts, daka. All right, what about down here? All right, so we have the mem, and it's pointed sere, long duration, E-type vowel, right? Me. Just like it was up here. How we have me'et, me. Then we have aleph. Aleph is a silent letter, and it's pointed with a reduced vowel. That's telling us what kind of vowel point it is. It's a reduced vowel, right? So here's the thing: we've got a reduced vowel under a silent letter. Okay, so how do we do that? We basically gloss right over it. No, it's actually we're instead of saying meh, we're gonna say meh. You'll hear it here when we do the rest of the word. Okay, just hold on to this. But this is chatef segol, so it makes a short, reduced E sound, but it only has all them dots because it's up underneath a guttural letter. Okay. Then we have a lamed that is pointed how? Holem, right? So that gives us what sound? Low. Then we have a hey, and it's pointed sere yod. What sound that's going to give us? Hey, hey, right? Like H-E-Y. Hey, get back over here. Yeah, you stole my sandwich. Get back over here. All right, so we would say me Elohe. But remember what we talked about just a minute ago about saving sounds? Melohe. Not me-elohe, just melohe. That kind of, it kind of combines these two together. Melohe. Melohe. All right, and what about this last word here? We got a yud pointed kirik, followed by what letter? Sheen pointed silent shiva. Close the syllable. Y, ish, yish. Yeesh. And then we have ayin, silent letter pointed cholemwa. What sound do we have? O. Yisho. I'm sorry, sis? No, still short. It is. Yeesh. Yeesh. We cut it off. And then this is a silent letter with a vowel attached to it. O. Yeesh. O. If it was vocal, it would be yesheo. But we don't have that E sound in there. Shva only ever. The shva is silent when it follows a short duration vowel point. Mm-hmm. So yisho, yisho. So we've transliterated our sentence. So let's read it together. We have yisa veracha me'et yawa utzdaka melohe yisho. All right, let's do it one more time. Yisa veracha me'et yawa utzdaka melohe yisho. All right. Yisa. Yisa. Oh, that's yusa. Usa. Yisa. All right. So what we have here is a prefix. The yud is being used as a prefix, which means he will or will with an implied masculinity. But then that just leaves us with this sa. So what has happened here? We dropped a letter because we added the yud. So your root word here is actually nasa. Nasa, to lift up or to rise, okay? But the picture that we have here of lifting up is the hands up. So when the hands up, what are we doing? We're asking for something. It's like when your child walks to you and they got their hand, they want you to pick them up. There you okay? So when we say yisa, right? We're asking, we're wanting to, well, the nasa, to receive. So, will, and we could even say he will receive. Okay? Yisa, he will. Just like, you ever watch a football game? You ever watch a football game, they do the coin toss? Right? So the one team that's going to receive, what happens? What does the referee do? He does like this. They flip the coin, and this guy says, "Are you gonna kick off, or are you gonna receive?" And they're always going to say, "Well, we're going to receive." So what does he do? He'll turn and he'll go, "They will receive. They will receive." It's funny how this stuff kind of bleeds over into secular life. But yeah, that's exactly what he watch it the next time you watch a football game. He will receive. That's what they do. And it's the same type of thing that we got here. So bracha. Okay, so we have barach, blessing, but we got a hey on the end of this word. So when it has a hey on the end, we're talking about a verb. It's active, right? This word is feminine. So it's active, it's fiery, it's doing something. There's action. All right? So he will receive. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when we think of blessing, we think of it as a noun. All right? We think of it as a noun, a thing. Right? We think of blessing as a thing. But here it's telling us it's an action. All right? Here it's letting us know he's going to receive something active, a force in his life, something like that. Okay, so he's going to receive this active blessing force. Okay? So he will receive blessing. What about me'et? It is. Yes, yes, yes. Remember, so we have the mem. Mem is a prefix that means from. From. Now we have et. Remember, Yahushua said, I am the Aleph and the Tav. I am the beginning and the end. Okay? So when it says et here, we've got a double meaning in this sentence. So who is he going to receive? He's going to receive blessing from Yahweh in what form? In the form of the Aleph Tav. Okay, so that's the sod level. That's the hidden stuff, right? But on the top, grammatically, et used as a grammatical tool points us directly to something. It's like a finger pointing at from this place or over there or right here. That's what et does. So in this case, it's telling us from, and then it's pointing to Yahweh, because the blessing can't come from anywhere else. Got to come from him. Okay? So I'm just going to say from Yahweh. So he's going to receive blessing from Yahweh. That's pretty simple, huh? What about utzdaka? So the wa, and, this is a prefix, it means and. Then we have another hey on the end. So that leaves us with the root word of tzadak, or where we get tzedakah, righteousness, right? So here it's an action as well, just like this blessing was. So that's pretty cool. And this is the world's longest word for me. All right, and righteousness. Then we have melohe. Mem, from. Elohe. This is a singular form, Aramaic form. Elah. It's the single form, right? Of. So, from the El of, Melohe, right? From. So when we use the word El, just so you know, when we use the word El is typically translated to mighty one, which is where, the phrase God comes from. So, but we don't use that term. All right. So from the El of, what about Yisho? O, the O is masculine. It's a masculine ending. So what does it mean? His. So what's that leave us with? Yasha. Salvation. Salvation. So Yisho. From the L of his salvation. All right? So what we have here is we have Psalm 24 and 5. He will receive the blessing. All right? He will receive blessing from Yahweh. and righteousness from the El of his salvation. So this is talking about somebody who is yashar. They are upright, right? They're sanctified. They're holy. They're walking the walk, right? That's right. They're doing the thing, right? They're walking the walk. They talking the talk and walking the walk. All right. So he's going to receive blessing, all right, from Yahweh, and he'll receive righteousness from the El of his salvation. So this lets us know exactly where it comes from, right? Scriptures talk about to praise Yahweh from whom all blessings flow. What you got, brother? Just so everybody else can hear.
Our brothers in Israel who don't know Yahushua, how would they interpret the Aleph and the Tav?
They don't.
They don't interpret
They don't.
it. What do they
don't.
say that
they
it
say
is?
that it is an untranslatable word that is unpronounceable. It does have a grammatical meaning, which is what we used it for here, just in that to point directly to. So to point, like instead of saying a pen, I have this pen right here, this expo marker. So this is it. I'm pointing to this one right here. With this et being used grammatically, there is no question. It's pointing directly to him. That's why the name is important. So it can't be any other Elohim, right? It can't be any of the other ones that were floating around out there. Can't be none of the ones from Egypt, none of that kind of. It's got to be this one. Because that's what that's telling us. From Yahweh. And the et. Exactly. And in the case here, the et has a deeper meaning, but on the top, it's pointing directly at this El right here. Yahweh. That's why he uses his name. All right, so any questions on this sentence? If not, we'll move on to our paleo word, and then well, that's good. All right, so here we go. We're going to work on this paleo word right quick. All right, so the form that we were using up here at the top is called what? That's called Ashurim, right? It's called Asher script, right? But we go back a little further in time, and we've got another form, the paleo, right? And then, of course, there's another form before that, but we focus mainly on the paleo, all right? So when we see this letter, what letter do we see here? All right, this is the sheen or the seen, right? All right. What's the second letter that we have here? That's the kaf, right? All right, and then what's this last one here? This is the lamed, right? So we have SKL. But we need to put some vowel points in here so we can pronounce this word. So what are we going to do? What do we normally do? Let's put some little A's in there. That'll help us, right? All right, sakal. Sakal. So the word sakal means intelligent. Intelligent. Okay, sakal. It means intelligent. But of course, you know that I always give you words that have extra meanings to them, because that's what we do this for, right? Is so that we can understand, so we can be sakal, right? We want to be intelligent. Okay, and we saw in our parsha today, where would this being sakal, this being intelligent, where would we see this in our parsha today? Okay. Not really in Yosef, no. It was tied to him. Okay, what did Yaakov do that was intelligent? When he crossed his hands. Huh? He knew. If anybody knew, he knew. All right? Yaakov knew. Right? He knew that it's always the older gets the right hand. So when Yosef presents them, and here's the thing, the scriptures say that he was near death, right? And it says that his eyes were dim. He couldn't see. So even not seeing his so he reaches out and does it. He crosses them, right? And like I said, Israel does something very strange when he's blessing Ephraim and Manasseh. So he switches his hands so that the younger receives the right hand blessing. Okay? So this is kind of odd because this is not the way that it was done. Well, Yosef says, "Oh, not so, Father. Do this." And Israel tells him what? "I know what I'm doing. I got this. I got this. I know what's up." You know what I'm saying? Even went as far as to replace two of his sons with those two of Joseph's. You really think about it. Okay? Well, Reuben did that on his own. Okay? Reuben did his own thing and caused that. But remember, he had a couple of sons that were bad news. Levi, Simeon. Right, but there was something that happened later on down the road that got him kicked out. That's where he lost his blessing. Sir? Well, he didn't get kicked out, but he did lose his blessing as the firstborn because he laid with Bilhah, which was one of Jacob's concubines. Yeah. So he basically, yeah, big time. All right. But see, here's the thing. Israel was no fool. He wasn't no fool. He knew what was going on, right? He knew the greatness that was going to arise from Ephraim. Because remember when they were arguing, remember when the tribes were arguing over the king? And what did the house of Ephraim say about the king? We got 10 parts in the king. You only got 2. But we got 10 parts in it. And so they were arguing over the king. All right? And honestly, when you look at it, most of the house of Israel, or most of the tribes, fly under whose banner? Ephraim. Or Joseph's, they fly under his banner. All right? So what we see here is that he was looking way, 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 way in the future. The Father had given him knowledge that was so far ahead that, so he guided his hands intelligently. All right? And even though his eyes were dim with age, but remember what the scriptures tell us in 2 Corinthians. It says that we walk by faith, not by sight. Okay? So here, Israel is showing his faith. I can't see it, but this is what the Father's telling me to do. Boom. Puts it out there just like that. Okay? So here's the thing. When we know, or we need to know that when something is from Yahweh, when it's truly from him and it's not just our imagination, right? That we need to be ready to walk in that faith that he's given us. Sometimes it's hard because these eyes don't see it. But we have to look through the eyes of the Spirit, right? So we have to be ready to walk in the faith that we claim that we have. So when we, and here's what's even cooler. So when we look at the meaning of these letters, the shin is what? On the top, it's the what? It's the teeth, right? But what concept does it talk of? Wisdom. All right? Wisdom. Then we have the kaf, which is what? The open hand. All right? So when we talk about the open hand, we talk not only about receiving, but also giving. Okay, they're both tied in that same thing. And then we have the lamed, and the lamed is what? It's an ox goad or it's a shepherd's crook, right? So it's either an instrument of correction or it's an instrument of instruction or guidance. Okay? So what we have here in his intelligence, in this intelligence, we have wisdom giving instruction. This wisdom that was given by the Father gave him instruction. And even though he was on his deathbed, he could not see, he walked in it. Okay? He followed those instructions. All right? So we see a wise person acting on what the Father gives them. Okay? And of course, I told you that there's a secondary meaning. There usually is to all of these things, right? So we know that it means to be intelligent, but it also means to be circumspect. Do we know what circumspect means? There's no shame in saying, no, we don't know what it means. Circumspect means paying attention. Looking before you leap. Remember, he says, using wisdom. Remember, he said, Father, you got this wrong. This wasn't. And what did Jacob say? I know. He was being sorry. He already knew what he would do. Yes, sir.
I think it's on the topic. Judah is a lion. What would Ephraim be?
Ephraim is usually seen as a bunch of grapes.
Okay.
Ephraim means doubly fruitful.
Okay. The double portion, huh?
Okay, so he's doubly fruitful. Yeah. The tribal symbol for Ephraim is usually a big cluster of grapes. Yeah, remember when they sent the spies in and they came in? So it's those big grapes. Okay? So anyway, like I said, it means to be circumspect. So when we receive something that we think is from Yahweh, what do we need to do? The scriptures tell us to try the spirits, to see whether they be of you. Because Hasatan can do that too. He can put some stuff in your head, right? So you better check against the scripture and make sure. You know, where's my 2 or 3 witnesses? Where's my book, chapter, and verse? Is this something that but like I said, Yaakov knew. The Father would put it right in, and this is how you're going to do it. You know what I mean? So like I said, if we get something and we think it's from the Father, we better do our homework. We need to dig. We need to be circumspect. But if it turns out that it is, you better get on it. You better start walking it, right? You better do it, right? Because he's given it to you. He's shown you what to do, right? He's shown you, oh man, what is right. Okay? So, anyway, that's the word sakal. And that's what was used in where it says that he guided his hands. I believe the King James says wittingly, with intelligence. He did it with intelligence. Did it with circumspection. Did it with full understanding. Exactly. No, he knew exactly